This is the Dabbsson 2000L. And if you're just looking for a power station that's going to be ready for you in an emergency, it's going to be there with 2 kilowatts of power, and it's basically going to get most tasks done for you, then this is an easy recommendation. I'm going to tell you what I do and don't like about it, but the price point, this thing is normally about $699 or less, putting this at about 34 cents a watt hour. So all the negatives I talked to you about, keep that watt hour price in mind as we go through some of the specs about it. 2 kilowatt unit, 2048 watt hours on this bad boy. It does have a DC port, which you can use to output up to 10 amps. So if you got your immersion heaters, your electrical blankets, it has a barrel plug. You can use that as well in your immersion heaters, electrical blankets. And then you have 2 USB-C ports that do 130 watt output. You have 2 3-amp USB-A ports, which should get you 18 or 22 watts output. You do have 6 of the AC ports. 3 of them are 15 amp. The other one don't have the bottom ground plug, which might be important to you. AC on and off. You do have a on and off button for this light right here, which is actually kind of useful. Then you have your DC on and off, and as well as your Wi-Fi on and off. So the very back of the unit is you have 1 solar input, and you do have the AC input. Very simple unit. Now this thing does have its pros and cons about it. All right, guys, battery drainage test for this Dabbsson 2000L. We're doing now the AC drainage test. Right now I'm pulling 326 watts. I've drained over 1 kilowatt hour from this unit. I'm draining it using that fan over there. It's pretty sizable fan. But that fan only runs at around 120 watts. The rest of it is being drawn right here through my recordings equipment that I record YouTube videos with. All this stuff is just on standby, and it all pulls over 200 watts on standby. So this could easily kill that unit within less than 10 hours by itself. So we'll see how well. Oh, and I'm also charging one of the world's most powerful flashlights, the Woobin A1, with this thing as well. And all that's running through the EcoFlow Delta 2. So everything, I'm treating the Delta 2 like a surge protector. This Delta 2 is plugged into the Dabbsson, and the Dabbsson is keeping the Delta 2 alive. Now, when I did the AC drain test, or when I did the DC drain test earlier, it didn't do so great. I mean, we got about 1,587 watt hours. Whatever tech they have in this Dabbsson 2100 Pro, they did not put in a 2000L. This is a 2 kilowatt unit. Actually, it's a 2150 watt hour unit, so a little bit more than the common units. But this one has an RV port on the side. It has 2 barrel plugs. You would be led to believe that this cost, you would wonder, why does this cost so much more? But it's so much more efficient than its little brother over here. By little brother, I'm talking about the Dabbsson 2000L. Less than about 100 watt hours separate these two, but I don't think they're using the same AC inverter. I don't think they're using the same cooling system, because this fan runs easily. But we'll see how it does. Fan intake is in the front, and it goes out the back, and it's not expandable. So this is, I believe, kind of like their beginning level of their 2 kilowatt stations, they being Dabbsson. They do have their bigger series that are going to get you stuff like RV ports, the 30 amp ports, which you're not getting on this. You're going to get more grounded plugs, which you're not getting on this. You're going to get faster USB-C output on the Dabbsson, like the DBS 2000 Pro. You're not getting on this, but you know what you do get? You get fantastic performance. Let's talk about the AC drain test. AC drain test is when I plug up my little drain tester here, and I extract this thing from full charge all the way to depleted. When I did that test, I did end up getting a total output of 1,854 watt output out of 2,048 watts. That's a 90.5% drainage test. I did that 3 times just to see, like, really, really, am I getting that much out of the AC port? The inverter is really good at controlling itself. And so was able to drain this up pretty slowly. Inverter's just really good at controlling the fan. The Wi-Fi settings aren't eating up a lot. And because it doesn't have a lot of that extra stuff, all kind of on the circuit board, I think that's how it's able to be so efficient. Now, I will say the DC test did not fare so well. DC test is when I plug up here into this DC port and I drain it at 10 watts, which is about 130 watts. Takes me 10 hours plus. Takes me a long time to do that test. And I got 77%, which is 1,587 watt hours out of this, which is not the greatest. It's less than 80%. One thing I noticed is out of the DC drain test, once this thing gets over 100 watts, it kicks the fan on. That's weird because for the AC test, the fan didn't run. I don't know if the fan ran one time during the entire test. So I don't know if the circuit boards for this, you can see the fans right there. I don't know if the circuit board for this is set up as if this thing pulls more than 100 watts out of any of the DC ports, the fan runs. I could understand that because keeping this DC portion cool might be incredibly important and keep this thing from damaging it itself. But because it ran the fan the entire test, ended up killing this thing and only getting 77%. But we can kind of look past that. Did it meet its max concurrent wattage? Yes, it did. It does have a peak. So the thing about this thing is that it can peak, or it can output 2,200 watts. It can peak at 3,300 watts. This is a great unit to hook up to something like a garage refrigerator and freezer or whatever. Those things normally, once that unit has gotten itself down to whatever the temperature is going to be, the running temperature of those type of things are normally between 150 and 200 watts. So if you did have a power outage, in theory, as long as this thing kicks on like it should in 10 milliseconds, this should be able to keep one of those units alive for 10 hours. That's pretty good. 10 hours of keeping a freezer that's maybe at -4 degrees plugged up. That's some good stuff. Okay, I like that. And if you never open a freezer door, the stuff inside is probably going to be fine for even longer. Different options for the screen on time. You can do 30 minutes, which is why I have it set up here. You can do never. You can do a lot of different stuff. But the Dabbsson 2000L, Dabbsson sent this out to me. This is not a sponsored video, but I really did want to give you another option because this Dabbsson behind EcoFlow has the best app. There's some stuff they're missing that EcoFlow has, but they have the best app behind EcoFlow. They are going to give you stuff like automatic on off, which I like about this. So for instance, you want to plug up your coffee machine on one of these ports up here and you want it to turn on at 5 a.m. You can set up inside their app to do that. Okay. So other units are not doing stuff like that. But, it really does kind of make me feel like EcoFlow and Dabbsson's apps were made by the same developer because they are both well laid out and easy to navigate. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. Comment down below in an emergency use case. Could you see yourself getting the Dabbsson 2000L or the 600L or the 1000L? These are all really good units. And I think that you will be happily, very pleased with these, especially with that warranty you're getting out of these bad boys and all of that good stuff. First, if this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.